Hi, welcome to episode 3. Today we're going to go over content modeling. So we're going to set up a bunch of content types for our site, which, if you remember from last time, is pretty simple at the moment. I've got one home page with nothing but a title in it, and it looks like this. I've stripped out the announcement bar, which you saw last time. We've got a very basic site. So we're going to start with building some content types. I'm just going to whiz over what they're going to be. We're going to have an article and a tutorial and a tip. I see these as buckets, which contain differently shaped content, and each sort of bucket has its own purpose. So in the article, we're going to have a title, summary, a content field, which we'll come on to later, and some categories. Tutorial is going to be pretty similar, but with the addition of a video and a cover image. And the tip is going to be much smaller. It's going to just have a title, hopefully small amount of content, and optionally some categories. So we are going to just whiz over as quickly as we can how to model that inside Contento. The first thing I'm going to do is create the article content type. That is going to be a page because I want URLs, and I'm going to give it a pattern, a URL pattern of article/slug. You can read about these over here and what you can do with URI pattern tokens. But for now, this is the most common setup you're probably going to need. I'm just going to click create and off we go. So I've got a title field already set for me. I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to add another plain text field called summary. It would help if I could spell. And I'm going to allow that to have multiple lines. Every article should have a summary. Next, I'm going to create a blocks field. Cool, but I haven't actually gone and created any block content types. So first, I'm just going to go and do that over here in another tab. Look, I've got no blocks, and I'm going to create some blocks which can go into my content area of each article. A block is basically a reusable chunk of structure, like fields, that you can use again and again wherever you make that block available. So you can think of it as like a Gutenberg block in WordPress, or any other sort of repeater style field. But to enable my article to have blocks, I first need to create some blocks. So I'm going to create a very simple one called text. And inside that, I'm going to have a rich text field, which I'm just going to call body, make it required. Cool. So that's a nice simple block. I'm going to create one more, which is going to be called image. So I can create text and image content. Oh, I gave that the wrong one. I'm going to call it image. And set some settings up on it there. Nice. So now if I come back to my article content type here, get rid of that, I can create a blocks field. Here I can call this, I'll call this article content, which gives me this handle, and I can add the block types that I just created, so that they're available on that field here. Nice. Cool, that's all I'm going to do for now. I'm going to leave categories for another episode. So if I come back here, I should now see my article content type is appearing. I can create one. I've got a title, summary, and I can add my text and image blocks here. And then these repeater style fields, you can just move them around and fill them in. So I'm just going to fill this in super quickly. So that's enough for me now. I can see that I've got my super awesome Jamstack article, having made my content type for it. Now, I won't go over it now, but basically it's the same process for creating the other content types. What I want to cover next is how to wire that up to my website so that I can see it at the correct URL, which you'll notice, because we set a URI pattern on the content type, Content already knows what that URL should be. So if I click that, I'm going to get a 404 not found right now. So let's fix that and start outputting stuff in our next website. So the way that works in the next app router is I need to create a new folder called article. So this is the fixed part of my URI pattern. And then I need to create a dynamic route called slug, which is another directory. And this is the bit that I won't know about in advance. And inside that, a page file. So this tells Next that anything that matches /article /something should load this file. Cool. So if you look in our root page file, you'll notice that we've got quite a lot of stuff in there, but at the bottom we've got this page function. So I'm just going to copy that and check that my routing works first. This is loading content from the home page, and it's using this general page template here to make that work. So I'm going to start by just, oh look, it's already updated. Now I'm not getting a 404, but I will do. You know, I can type anything I like in here and I won't get a 404. I will do if I go to there because there's no page template inside the article folder. So I'm just going to stick with the slug I know works for now. And I'm going to go into here. I'm going to create a type called props. Inside that is going to be a params key, which is where the next magic happens. And this tells Next that we want to access whatever was set in this dynamic variable under the params key in this file. So now in here, I can pull that params key off the props and I should be able to use it. So I can go into my get content by slug method, which is in the Contento SDK, and I can go params.slug. Now we're looking at the wrong content type here. I called my content type article, so I need to reference the handle of that here, which is just lowercase article. Then it should work. Now if it can't find one in the API that matches these conditions, then it's going to throw a 404 in Next. So now we should have fixed a couple of things. One, we've got the title from our actual article page coming out. And two, if I type something else in, we should get an actual 404. Nice. So hopefully that's making sense. Next, I want to either expand this general page component to output my content properly, or what I would probably rather do is create a new one that's just for articles, because as I mentioned earlier, the shape of an article is going to be different to perhaps the shape of something else. So I'm going to create an article page.tsx, and I'm just going to rudely copy this in so that gives me my basic framework. But I'm going to just check that we're loading this by saying this is an article. And then in here, I want to load article page instead of general page. Nice. Cool. And I can see that's working because it says this is an article, and then I've got my title. So the next thing I want to do is I want to pull out all of the content and use it properly within this template. I'm going to start with it really simply, and then that'll probably be enough for this episode. And then in the next episode, we'll go over how to componentize everything properly so that you're not looking at a massive wall of code and finding it difficult to maintain individual components. But to start with, we're just going to start outputting basic content. So I'm going to start with my title field. Then I'm going to output my summary. So content fields.summary, I think I called it, .text. Nice. Now I did put new lines in that, you'll have noticed, and they're not rendering here. So what I need to do is install something handy called npm what's it called? React NL2BR. Nice. And then I should be able to take that and wrap it in this function. And that should convert new line symbols to BR tags. So it's doing that now. That's nice. I can see that. Cool. So I'm just going to start giving stuff some space so that I can see what's going on. Right, what's the next bit of here that I want to deal with? Article content. Nice. So in here, I am going to do a loop. So I'm going to do content.fields.article content.blocks. Now blocks is an array of block objects. So I get one block inside each of these, and I can type that using the contento block data type, so I know what's inside it. And now I'm going to want to start outputting each block here. Now, the simplest way to do that for the purposes of this demonstration is just to do a switch statement here on block.content_type.handle. And then inside there, I want to do a case for each block type. So I've got an image one and a text one, and then I probably want a default case which just returns like error. But you could make that more descriptive. And in fact, in our block matcher, which is a component that we provided, we do all of this for you and set up a pattern for you, which we'll go over in the next episode. But for now, this is good enough. Now, I've got these two blocks. I've got one image and one text. So I'm going to start with my text one. And inside that, I'm going to output block.fields. What did I call it? What's the field called? Body. Body.text. So this should now start out. Ooh. What's going on here? I've got a little error. Oh, I didn't put map in. Sorry. That should have read .map. So that I'm in a loop. Right, well, here we go. I've got error for the image block that isn't outputting, and I've got markup coming out raw here. So I've got a number of things to fix. And the first thing I think I'm probably going to fix is let's fix this markup. So I'm going to do a React thing here and say dangerously set in HTML, which means set the text content of this div to whatever this is and render it as HTML. So that should fix my p tags everywhere, which it does. And now I need to add an image block because I've got that error appearing here. I don't have any CSS, so I'm just using BR tags everywhere, which is not the best. Maybe we'll add Tailwind in the next episode, and then I can actually start making things look nice. So I'm just going to add a couple of... Did it not like? Yeah, there we are. and I'll probably need to do the same here. Okay, cool. We can actually see the wood for the trees now. Okay, so let's create another case for the image one. Image return. Again, I'm just going to create a fragment and give it some top space so that colliding. Right, here's my image tag. Now I need to fill out those properties, but I prefer to do my sort of is there an image check and stuff up here before the return statement, just because I find it a bit easier to see. So I'm going to save the asset to a variable and go wait, no, we're inside a block. Block.fields .image.assets. Now I'm going to do a check and say, are there any assets? And if there are, then I just want the first one. And then off that, I can pull the asset object. And if there aren't any, then I'm just going to set that variable to null. That's going to allow me to say, if there is an asset, render this bit of markup. Right, now I can pull the URL off the asset object. And I should get something start to render. A giant image. Look at that, it's huge. So now we can do something that's even cooler, in my opinion, which is start using the image optimization API. So before we go much further, like if I just output this here, you'll see we've got this URL, right? Which is a giant image of a squirrel. This is coming off the Contento asset CDN, which is a bit like Cloudinary or Imgix or anything like that. You can actually send parameters to this and cut things and use it to optimize your images down. So I can do things like fit equals crop, and then width equals 400, and I will get a much smaller image. Take a while the first time it works, but then after that it's cached and it's super quick. So I'm actually just going to do that in my template over here by adding on to the end of that URL, fit equals crop, width equals 400, for good measure, format equals WebP. And then I should get a nice small image. Cool. Whilst I'm here, I'm also going to set the alt text to the description of the asset. Now this is stored here. So I don't have a description at the moment, so I should probably add that in. Nice. And so then I should be able to see that coming out here. Here we go. Here's the alt text now filled out. Cool. And I've got my two blocks. So if I go back over here now and hit preview, I should be able to see all of this and muck around with it and watch it change. Look at that. Nice. Cool. Okay. So I think that's probably enough for today. I think in the next episode we'll cover off how to organize this stuff here so that it's a lot more maintainable, readable. And so this sort of big wall of content area is quite hard to manage once you get to like 10, 20 blocks. So I think, it's useful to have a sort of defined, structured method of organizing that stuff, which is what we call the block matcher method. And we do have actually a guide on that, which I could link to. Components block matcher. There you go. And this walks you through that method in sort of detail. But essentially you end up with this sort of nice, here's our switch statement, it's encapsulated in a component on its own, and you just pass it the array of blocks and it spits back all of your block components one by one in a big stack. So we'll whiz over how to implement that in the next episode, and also probably go over categories. So there'll be a content modeling part 2 episode as well. And then I think during that as well, we might add some Tailwind in so we can actually start styling stuff nicely. Cool. All right. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you on the next one.